Welcome to another edition of Pillars of Heaven. I'm in the studio with JB and Leah, and today's topic is going to be on dating, online dating specifically. And we have a lot of people that are either pro or con. There's for or against, and there's maybe a happy medium. I don't know. We're going to hear a lot of. Miss Leah is so excited to share her dating stories. We have a special guest on the phone. We have Jacob. Everybody welcome Jacob.
Welcome, Jacob.
Hey, Jacob.
Hello.
There he is. He's a expert on online dating as well.
Awesome.
He's a registered online dater. And he has now met his, who knows, maybe future spouse on there. He's dating somebody now, right, Jacob? You're dating somebody now?
Yeah, I am.
That was a test. You passed. That was good. She's listening, I'm sure. So, all right. So let's hear about your experiences. So let's start with JB. Let's start with JB. I know you wanted me
My
to say
experience is what, with online dating?
Yeah. What do you do? Ever do online dating? Dabble a little bit?
I tried it. The online dating sites. I just bad experiences. Awkward. It just felt awkward and weird. And I was on like either Plenty of Fish or
that's supposedly a Christian one, but there's
one of the other ones.
Really?
1,000.
No, but the people.
that's
Christian
not-
ones.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, Plenty of Fish. I don't think was a Christian one.
No.
I think it was.
Yeah,
just,
no.
I thought it was.
But
No.
it was bad because it was the weirdest experience ever, because when I would message people, when I would message women, they either talked to me like they were like a buddy, or they talked to me like they just wanted to like have sex, and that was it.
Maybe you're the buddy.
It was
buddy
the
vibe.
weirdest experience. Like there was no in between.
Yeah.
And I just like, all right, I'm getting off of this.
Yeah. So it's so if you're looking for a relationship, that's not the. I don't want to downplay that site.
I don't want to say I don't want to say a blanket statement for everybody, but it just wasn't my thing.
Just
and
buddy.
I just like
So you just tried Plenty of Fish, that's it? Like
that was really the only one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think there's better ones.
Yeah.
I think that, to be honest with you, and I've heard someone say this, and I agree, that I think that the pay sites are probably better because it probably filters out a lot of the nonsense. You know, a lot of people gravitate towards the free sites because they're free, and you got a lot of people on there that are screwing around.
Yeah.
Just to screw around for fun.
Well, I mean, you fill out a profile, and I mean, pretty much anyone on there is going to fit that profile. Is, I want somebody honest. Oh, okay, that opens up to everybody. Oh, I want somebody that, even if they're a liar, they're going to say they're honest anyway because they're lying.
True.
Yeah, so I the experience I've had, and before we get to Jacob, and I know Leah's dying to say all of her experience.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait. I'm so
I am
excited.
so looking forward to
There's
this.
a whole listing on
We
it.
were waiting for this part of the show.
Yeah, so
They're all going to be let down now.
I doubt it. So, so you go on these sites, right, and you fill out what you're looking for, and the experience I've had is you put on there, okay, I want a Christian somebody, or I want a non-smoker, or I want a non-drinker, or whatever you pick. 9 out of 10 times that is not who I matched up with.
They do everything. They do it all.
Yeah, and it's their profile will say one thing, and you could tell like, okay, I don't swear. That'll be in their profile, and the first thing they text you is a bunch of swear words.
Really?
I bring out the best of this person already. Jacob, what do you think? You think it's been a fun experience for you, or not a fun experience?
Honestly, I think as a whole, it's for me personally, it wasn't a great experience. But I mean, that's just because I was looking for more of a relationship. Which now, honestly, with online dating, it's not really, nobody's really looking for relationships. I mean, some people are, depending on the app as well.
Yeah.
Like if you go on Tinder, it's mainly for hookups. If you go on Bumble, it's more for relationships, but it could be hookups. And you also have to ask yourself why people that are young are on the app when,
It's
people
for
that are
older
young,
people.
like 20 years old or like that, if they want to find somebody, they just go out.
Yeah.
Because,
So you think you think there's something wrong with the people on there that are younger? Is that what you're saying?
I think that the younger people that go on it are just mainly looking for hookups, honestly.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So
that's why I
you're
said
you're
that.
on there, right? Are you mainly looking for hookups, or? So I mean, I don't want to, blast you.
No, I mean, I was on it because like I was just on the Bumble because it's more for like relationships, and
right.
you also like. This is why I said it's successful for some people, but for me, I wasn't as successful with it. Didn't really like it
Yeah.
because the people that want hookups, it's easier to find that than a relationship. So
Oh yeah, for
if
sure.
you have to weed through like the weird people
Yeah.
and find
Yeah.
someone like normal.
Which is very hard to do.
But you did
Yeah,
find
yeah.
someone.
But you did find somebody.
Is she
Yeah,
normal?
Yeah, she is normal. I did get lucky.
Yeah.
I was on it because I didn't really go out much at the time. I was
Right.
on orders, so there's nothing really to do. I was in Jersey, like kind of the middle of nowhere, so I kind of just got lucky. I found somebody who was on there for the same reason as me, and yeah, I guess that's it. We started going out. Things just went well.
Did you know like right away when she contacted you or you contacted her and you first started talking? Was it like instant connection, or is it something you had to work at?
It was a connection. Like the first date in person, there was a connection. But over the phone, it's really hard to gauge. So
Yeah.
I really had to go into going out with this person, like, not having high hopes, just thinking, oh well, the worst that could happen is we just become friends and it's just we're friends.
Right.
Yeah.
But luckily, she was really good and we just had a connection. Yeah.
So did she look like her pictures, or
Yeah.
is it one of the
That's
people
another
that?
thing.
yeah, that's another thing, right?
She did look like her pictures, but that's also another thing because on dating apps you can have like one picture that comes up first for everybody, and then you start swiping through, and it's like
Who's this
the first
person?
picture was obviously
Not
altered.
them. Yeah.
Like 10 filters on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, right.
Well, you might get to the point, hopefully you don't, because hopefully this works out and everything. But as you stay on those dating sites longer and longer, the amount of people that you are going through, the more and more have somebody else's picture on there, or it's a picture of them from 15 or 20 years ago, and it's not what they are currently representing themselves as, or it's a picture of long hair and they have no hair.
yeah, like my profile picture on Facebook is from like 11 years ago.
Yeah, see,
That's deceiving people. They're thinking, look at this young guy.
yeah, but if you're on there now and you're just like, okay, if you put that 11-year-old picture up there,
that would be deceiving.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that brings us to Miss.
No, to
No?
you.
To me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I did that too. All right, so yeah, I was on a couple throughout the last 10 or 15 years, I would say. Yeah, not a lot. I did meet some very awesome people. One of them I dated for over 7 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, we hit it off. Everything was pretty awesome.
What site was that? If you don't have to say.
Yeah,
it.
I can't say it online. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, all right.
I wanted to look up your profile.
Yeah. No, I don't have a profile on there anymore. But this was an older site that I don't even think is out there anymore.
Okay.
And it was a site where you just had a picture there, and people would vote if you were good looking or not good looking.
How many votes did he get?
You would get a rating, yeah. And it wasn't like a meet site. It was just you would get a rating, and then you would get this rating, and then you could contact people that rated you well.
Okay.
So her and I rated each other well, and
That's weird.
yeah, it was weird. Yeah, it was different. This is like the beginning, like the the early chickens, as this world emerged.
Right.
So no, we dated for a long time, and then recently I met some people that you jive with, and
Then you meet them in person.
Well, yeah, you meet them in
Okay.
person, and you have a connection with them, and and at some point, for me personally, it's like, my situation is different now, as I'm no longer just now I'm a single dad, and that brings some cargo, you know,
Yeah.
some
Very
baggage
important.
and some cargo. And, you know, the time that I'm at right now is different than what I thought I was looking for. So it's, you know, you meet great people, and if it's not the right timing, it's not going to work, because either you're not willing to open up, or you're, you know, you're guarded against, you know, your little ones, or, but the majority of the ones on there, same thing that Jacob said, is they're looking for, you know, just to hook up. And if you're not looking for that, I suggest not going on that avenue. But it opens up. I mean, this is a world where, like I said before on that other show, you dated or you met whoever your small circle of influence was, or who was around town, or who you met at the grocery store or the mall or something like that.
But in all fairness, though, playing devil's advocate, you know, it's the same way in the real physical world too. I mean, there's people that are just looking to hook up, and you got to sift through it.
Yeah.
And there's a way to sift through it, but it requires patience.
Yeah, time consuming.
I tell the ladies that all the time that I talk to. I said, you know, don't ever feel bad or about waiting, or don't feel pressured to be physical in a relationship, because that's how you weed out the people that aren't really meant for you. Because, you know, if it's right and the relationship is meant to be, and the person's in it for the right reasons, they're going to wait. And they're not going to pressure you into anything. And the people that pressure you into things, they're looking for just that.
Yeah.
And those are the telltale signs. And that's how you protect yourself from being used and abused. And I've heard it countless times over the years with female friends, you know, repeatedly going through the same things, where they would date somebody and then they would feel pressured to get intimate, and then everything kind of collapsed on them.
Yeah.
And I would,
well, it's the foundation there.
Yeah.
That's why. And you know, I this, no offense to Jacob, but there's a generation there now that is, I've had women just boldly, hey, are we hanging out tonight? No, we're not. Okay, well, I'm going to hang out with this other guy. And I'm like, well, I thought you and I were trying to see if there's something here. So why would you know what I mean? If you're interested in somebody, your attention's there, and you're trying to see if that's going to work out. You're not playing 100 different guy roulette and be like, well, go ahead.
I was just thinking that as you guys were talking about how it is nowadays, like with my generation stuff, hookup culture as a whole is just a huge thing now as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's like no feelings involved. It's like, well, if I can't hang with you tonight, there's 5 guys over here waiting, and I'm just going to hang out with them. And then you're like, well,
yeah, but don't allow that to dictate how you live your life. Just take it as a sign, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that one's not for me.
Be thankful for it. Be thankful for that sign, because they just saved you a ton of heartache and headache.
Yeah.
Yep.
If they're gonna lead their lives like that, and they're gonna cast you aside like that just because you're not available for an evening,
it's crazy.
Then so it's be nuts. It. You know.
Yeah. And then they expect you to be okay with it too. And be like, yeah, well, what's the big deal? We're not together. I'm like, yeah, we're not together.
Right.
However, we're never going to be together now.
Right.
Because you're not, if you're interested in me, you're interested in me, and nothing else should matter.
Many years ago, I was trying to get to know this one young lady, and just like take it slow and talk with her and all that. And something happened where we were hanging out at a bar, and she was leaving, and it was still early in the night. And I was like, oh, what's going on? Why are you leaving? Where are you going? Because we were just sitting down. I was trying to just get to know her.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I made other arrangements or something like that. Something to that extent. And someone was coming to pick her up. And I was like, oh, okay.
Were you on a date with her?
Was this a blind date?
No, it wasn't a blind date. I had met her through friends. And we had already hung out before, but this was kind of like it was one of the situations where like I knew she was going to be there, and she knew I was coming, and we were just hanging out and chatting.
Right.
And so when she left, when she made that comment that she had other arrangements, I thought to myself, all right, well, that's it. Like I just completely wrote her off as far as dating went.
Right.
It was done. It was over with. Because I don't know if she thought that she was fooling anybody, but I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's it. You know, I tried to give you a chance to get to know you, you know, as a mature adult, and clearly you're just, you know, looking for something else. So it was what it was.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that brings us to Leah.
Oh gosh.
And Leah's dating.
Okay. Well, I've been on a lot of the sites.
How many of the
it.
sites? All the sites? You've been out there?
Bumble for sure. I've been
Bumble,
out there. Christian Mingle.
Not a lot of Christians on that one.
Not a lot of
Just saying.
Christian.
That's
Well,
ironic.
Christians,
Yeah.
but yeah. Upward, which is another Christian site.
I didn't hear that one.
I think I've heard of that one. There's a lot of them, I guess.
All right, what else?
I mean, online dating is huge.
Match.
All right, so what is your what's your overall take on?
Yeah, so I pay all this money.
Oh, they all cost money.
Yeah,
Oh,
they all
right,
cost
yeah.
money. Yeah, especially if you can do them free, but you don't see their faces.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're trying to get to know
Yeah.
somebody. So you don't see their face.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have to be a paying member in order to see like their
Yes.
pictures.
Right.
Oh.
But you can communicate obviously back and forth.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, so you're trying to.
blind online dating.
Yeah, that's good. You're trying to get a spark there without seeing who they are.
Right.
But if you're not attracted to them, like,
Right.
what's it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a part of it. It's not all of it. But you got to be able to look at them and be like, oh yeah,
right.
Oh, like I'm interested in you.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me one picture anyway.
Now, do you guys use online, like the computers, like actual websites or apps?
Oh, that's a good question.
I've only ever used websites, I think.
I think I've only used the apps. Maybe.
I
Oh,
think I only use the
Yeah, maybe.
apps.
Why? What do
Yeah,
you use?
I use the app too. I was just wondering what you guys do, because I know like Bumble and stuff, like you have to pay for it to have like access to some things, but you could do it free, and like it's just not as good because, like she said,
Yeah.
Right. It's not as good. Yeah. There's like
Right.
perks when you pay for.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they have to. But there's some of these
Perks
are
to pay.
expensive.
Yes.
Super expensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just found it like way emotionally exhausting, and time consuming.
Well, you were looking for just hookups, so.
Oh, come on, Mike. No, come on.
No.
No, for sure not. For sure.
Well, I don't think it'd be stressful at all if that's what you're looking
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So to like weed through, and I was like, and then you would like talk to somebody for a little bit, and then all of a sudden they just don't.
Vanish.
Just poof.
Because they probably found
goes-
somebody else.
They're like,
Yeah, probably found somebody else. Or,
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, though. It's kind of like what you were saying, Mike. What you were saying earlier about, oh, I'm not available tonight. Oh, that's
I'll
okay
find
because
somebody else.
Joe Schmo over here is. So like it's kind of like the same thing. Like maybe someone was talking to you and you thought, well, this is cool.
But they're also talking to like 10 other people.
That's I think the big thing.
Right. You know,
what I mean?
you just know, or you get to know that, oh, I
You
wasn't
think
the
you're
only one.
special
That,
talking to them and realize they're talking to 15 or 16 other
and you're
Yeah.
taking your time the way you're
Yeah.
supposed to, and maybe he found someone else that's like, hey, let's get together tonight. You're like,
Tonight,
okay.
right.
Yeah.
there's a ton of anxiety that comes with dating apps and stuff
yeah.
like that. A lot
Yeah.
of pressure that you feel because the first time, like for any date that you go on for a dating app, I feel like with me and my current girlfriend now, like when we first went out after the second or third date, we both were kind of wondering, so why did you have it? You
Yeah,
know,
right,
like,
exactly.
What were you actually looking for? Like,
Yeah.
so it's kind of because you don't know if they're one of those people that have backups or whatever
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
on there just
You
for
don't want to be that
hookups or if they're
backup. Right.
on for the relationship.
There's very few, I'll go out on the limb and say, there's very few out there that are actually looking for a relationship that
Yeah.
are actually willing to put the time in. But then when you do match with somebody and everything's working out, it does bring up, well, what were you doing on that site? Because,
Exactly.
like,
Do they have a?
you seem normal.
Speaking
right?
of backups, do they have a backup feature on those sites?
Like you're the
Backup
number
feature?
two.
Backup number two. Backup.
Oh my gosh, that would be horrible.
I'm side guy number 3.
I know. I have such a horrible sense of humor sometimes. I apologize.
Oh, wait,
my
so
gosh.
we digress. But we're back to Leah's story. So
Yeah, so and I got like when the person would ask me like to go on a date or whatever, I would most of the time back out. I don't know. I couldn't get
do
my
it?
yeah.
Did you ever meet anybody?
One person.
Okay. Did they represent themselves as who they were?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Any
Well, and he actually said, oh, "Okay, you look like your pictures." And I was
See,
like,
it's
yeah.
not-
I was like,
aha,
yeah.
see?
Oh no, it's both. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
both ways. And I was like, "Yeah, you do too." Yeah. So
Oh, you look like your picture. That's good to hear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one, and it was really nice and everything. But I don't know, just that.
Yeah, you were just there for hookups. And
No,
Oh, yeah, right.
just not that. I don't know. It just doesn't.
I would get that. I would never really meet that many
Are
people.
you like saying that you just didn't feel like any spark?
With that person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I experienced that years ago. It wasn't through online dating. I was dating this one woman though, and you know what the thing is, and it was probably the most beautiful breakup I ever did. She even told me
She's like, wow, that was great.
it was nice because I flat out told her, I said, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, you're
It's me.
beautiful.
It's me. It's not
you
you, it's
are
me.
like, you look the way I think. I love the way you look.
Yeah.
You're my type.
Everything's perfect except I'll never see you again.
You have a good job, a good career. You have
Yeah.
a great head on your shoulders.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong about you.
Well-
I said, but the thing is
Well,
that there's like
no
when we
spark.
were together, there was just nothing there.
No spark. No chemistry.
I didn't feel for her romantically. It was forced.
Yeah.
And it was nothing against her. It's just
Right.
like it just wasn't. There was something missing.
Right.
And she totally understood that when
Yeah.
I told her that, and it was hard to say that, And it was like, it was frustrating in a sense because she really cared for me, and she really wanted things to work.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, "There's nothing wrong with you." I said, "There's no
I,
complaint."
Yeah,
I just hate
sometimes
you.
there's-
Yeah.
And I
nothing wrong with you,
understand,
I
Leah,
just-
like when you said, that's why I asked you, like, was it because there's no spark?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, a really nice guy, a Christian. Really, like you're saying, good job, everything like that. Just
Oh, you worried about what his job was?
no.
Oh, gold digger.
I said he had a really good job.
Oh, sorry. No,
Stop, Mike.
But when
Yeah.
you were with them, you probably almost felt like you were hanging out with like a
With-
friend or
Right.
a brother.
It was kinda
or your
like that.
brother. Yeah,
Right,
That's not
right.
good. I've been on one where there was just no spark there at all, and we
Yeah.
were at dinner, and we both were just like, let's just have dinner and have a good time, and like realize we'll never see each other again. But let's just like it wasn't mean or
Right.
we both just were not for each other for whatever reason.
Yeah.
and we just had a good time anyway. We had dinner, we had a good time, no pressure. That takes the pressure out.
What made you and her kind of mutually determine that over one dinner?
Honestly, she
Good
brought up.
question.
She brought up. That is a good question, and I subconsciously must not have been into her because at dinner I was ordering doubles all the time, and at one point she's like, that's your third double already, and we didn't even get through dinner, and I'm like, oh yeah, well I'm just trying to break the ice here. It does not feel so. And then as we talked, she actually turned out to be super cool, and it just wasn't. I don't know. That feeling just wasn't
Yeah.
there.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. 'Cause you're
Especially
like-
when you meet someone great and there's nothing, like if you were to actually write down on paper like what's wrong with this person or what's right with this person, and you're like, all right, they got a good head on their shoulders, check. They're decent and they're kind and they're thoughtful and considerate of you, check.
Yeah.
They have a good job, they're independent, check.
Right.
They meet all the requirements, as far as like what you look for in a person, but then there's just that chemistry that's just not there.
I always found the chemistry I had was always for the wrong person. So they were always they never checked any boxes. I never was looking for box checkers, but I would look at myself and be like, can I see myself bringing them to my family? And most of the time I was like, no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to introduce them to my family, but they're the ones I feel like I had
Attraction
a stronger
to.
attraction
Yeah.
to. And I'm like, this one's deadbeat, and this one has got a lot of problems, and this one, oh man, not all there upstairs. That's
But
kind
I'm
of
into
attractive.
her.
Yeah, but when I look at her, like, she's cute, So it wasn't ever for me like, okay, what do you do for work? Didn't care. You know what I mean? What do you do? Do you have any other boyfriends? That was a good question. That was a deal breaker.
Though you bring up an interesting point, and I think that's why we definitely getting into dating, whether it be online or in person. That's why you definitely need to bring God into it and bring
Yes.
bring it to prayer, because it's interesting that you said that basically everyone that you found physically attractive, like in chemistry wise, was always like with people that were basically no good for you, no good for your spiritual life.
Yep.
And it just makes me think that the enemy could have something to do with that.
Oh yeah, it's dancing you in front of the eyes.
I mean, because why would that take place? I don't know, but definitely
there is something behind that. Yeah.
The bad boy. You like the bad boy, don't you?
No.
Oh, I thought you were saying.
No, I'm just. But so I heard like this teaching, and it makes sense to me. That like when you have kind of like an unhealed heart, that you're gonna kind of be attracted to
another unhealed heart.
Another unhealed heart.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Huh. See, there I was, unhealed the whole time.
Oh,
yeah.
That's interesting.
That's an interesting theory, actually, because a lot of the times, and I'm like, man, I cannot see a future with this woman because it's a disaster. But hey, what are you doing next week? So let's hang out again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I kind of used to go for the guys or be what'd you say?
The bad boys.
No, not bad boys.
Oh, you like the bad boys?
No, not bad boys.
Oh, did you mean to say bad boys?
Gosh. But guys that, I mean, definitely needed help though.
Me too.
Yeah.
I always found that one that I was like, I can fix that.
Yeah.
Or I tried to be, and you know what? I got a very, very good piece of advice from my mother one time that said, because I picked out all the ones that had a serious problem. And I was like, I can help you through that, and I can do. And my mom at one point was like, you are not their savior.
Right. Oh, I've been told that before.
Yeah.
Right.
And here I am trying to change these people, which you all know.
It doesn't, right.
And they end up changing you, and you start giving up your standards and giving up your what you would do. Your character starts to change, and and she was like, yeah, you can't be their savior. You can't fix that problem, and you can't.
No, we
even
just
though
can't.
you want to,
we just can't. Right?
You think you can? Okay, hey, I'm good on that area of my life. Let me show you what's successful or how I deal with that. And that doesn't work. So I think a lot of it was I always looked for that wounded puppy that I tried to pet and say, oh, it's going to be okay.
Right.
And,
me too.
Say, and then try to get them through that. And still,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you actually, is part of it like being more into those type of people that are wrong for you and that you kind of want to take under your wing? Did you find the relationship to be more toxic?
Oh yeah. Oh, 1,000%.
Because that's what I was going to ask you, because I mean, I've dealt with that a couple times. You just put all your just put your time to the wrong person, and
right.
You think that you could change the person,
and you can't,
and then you waste all your time and stuff and effort.
It's not only that
you end up getting hurt.
It's not only it's not only that you waste all your time. It's that's a poison into your life, and that affects every area of your life. It affects your attitude. It affects how you deal with other areas of your life, because now you're depressed and now you're financially strapped.
And that should never be an objective when getting into a relationship is, I'm going to change this person. I mean, you should always...
No, that's not what you really... That's not coming from me. That's not what you think, really. It's just...
It's just like, I can help them.
I can help them.
Yeah, and I can...
Or what happens with me...
Guy,
Go ahead.
Guy nowadays, trying to not change somebody, but to help somebody without being too assertive either.
Right.
Because you don't want to come up as trying to be like controlling or like manipulative when you're trying to help them out. Be like, hey, maybe that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that. But it's hard to say that without sounding like you're trying to control them. You know
what I found out too is then their burdens in life now become your burdens. And so that then they turn everything and say, okay, they want to help me in this area. Then they unload everything onto you, and then they expect you to deal with it, or they expect you to handle that situation for them.
It becomes like a counselor.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. And it's
Counselor Myke.
Yeah. And it's, hey, you know what? It's 9 out of 10 times that's what I was in the relationship. And then when it was time for something I needed, or when I wanted someone to be, there's red flags in every relationship, right?
Yeah.
But when you're into somebody, you're like, you look past that red flag, and you're like, I'll put up with that because I like them. But that red flag becomes a huge issue.
Oh, yeah.
Later on. It's a little thing that you're like, oh, that's cute that they do that.
Yeah.
No, it's not cute anymore after a year. Now you're like, I hate when you do that.
Yeah, you definitely got
It bothers me.
when you get in that in
The
love
honeymoon phase is over.
the in love phase. You got the blinders on. You don't see a lot of things that the third parties see.
Yeah, and all your friends tell you that you're stupid and crazy, and you're like, shut up, you don't understand.
Yep. They're the ones that are like saying, hey, I see these red flags over here, and then you get defensive.
You're like, you don't know them how I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true for other people, but our relationship's different. Bull. Your relationship's the same as everyone else's.
Yeah, I'm also like a big potential person. Like I see potential in everybody.
Yeah.
And
Like
so
the
like
bad
that
boys?
keeps stop.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say that.
So, well, I mean, well, anyway.
Yeah, you see the potential in them.
You see the potential in everybody,
and
and
you
like
try
you
to
hold
tap
on
into that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you
try
try
to
to
hold on to that
Yeah.
too. And I honestly did that in my marriage too. And I mean, potential's always there, but it's up to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the thing is you can help somebody as much as you can, but if they don't want to do it,
right?
Yeah.
you
They're not going to do it.
That's exactly right, and you can't make them do it.
Well,
Right.
and that's why we can't change people. Like that's why that's left up to the Lord.
Right.
Just like in the movie The War Room.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we can show somebody the way. Like leading a horse to water.
That's what I was just going to say.
But
saying, yeah.
You can't actually force someone to change.
They can't.
That change
No,
is
absolutely not.
If they
supernatural.
they have to want to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 9 times out of 10, like I said,
Yeah.
they don't want to do
They
that.
don't- yeah.
Or they just don't feel like there's anything wrong with them that they need to change. And you're like, well, I'm looking on the outside, trying to show you a little. But there, and it's important, Jacob, especially now if you're in a young relationship, that you do bring God into that relationship, because that is going to shape how that relationship goes out in the future. What was it, a tornado?
Are you outside? No.
Are you still there?
What was that?
Oh, we thought you got swept away by the torrential downpour.
Something
No,
was.
it's all from outside. It's really loud.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said?
Bring-
After being in a young relationship.
I said, being in a young relationship, it's important to bring God into there, because
Right.
you guys want to be on the same
Yeah.
level and the same, and we talk about being unequally yoked, but that's more of a marriage thing, but it starts at dating.
Dating.
Oh,
It sure
definitely.
does.
Definitely.
Your dating ends one of two ways, right? You break up or you marry.
Right.
That's it. So you want to be on the same page from Jump
Right.
Street, so that your goals, and it's great because, when you're really into that person, their dreams and their goals become your dreams and goals.
Right.
Right. And it's, you're not changing their dreams and goals. They're going to change you. And if you like trying to move forward as a team, it's important that you guys think the same way, have the same morals and values, and the
Priority.
same,
Vision,
right?
kind of,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
priorities.
That
Yeah.
light at the end
Yeah.
of the tunnel has to be the same for both of you.
Yeah, because Dr. Myke, you're so right on that, and that's such great advice, because priorities is huge. And when you're in a relationship where you're unequally yoked, you're not going to have the same priorities.
Right.
If you're someone who puts God first in your life and you seek the kingdom of God first, and the person that you're with does not, you're not going to see eye to eye on a lot of things.
But also, the good thing about that is, when you're grounded in the same faith or thoughts, and there's so many things that you don't have to worry about anymore. You know what I mean? You're with the same person where you have the same belief system, and you know what their thoughts are on cheating, and you know what their thoughts are on going out and drinking or whatever, or you know what their thoughts and feelings are about a million different things that you don't have to worry about any longer. You'll have still troubles, but they'll be
Yeah,
different,
for sure.
Yeah.
But they're not as the same worldly troubles that you're going to have in a regular relationship. Does that make sense? I think
Yeah.
it does. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a lot of a young relationship, like nowadays problems, or not problems, but things you have to look out for as far as religion's a big one. I've realized it's something that before was important to me and still is,
Yeah.
but something I kind of brushed off as well. Like, you know, they were born Catholic, I'm Christian. It's similar, whatever. But I've also been with people that have, or like a couple girls that were like just not religious at all,
Yeah.
or like barely.
Yeah.
And I realized like I feel like it's best that you should be on the same page with somebody,
Oh yeah.
and it's not something you should just brush off. It's something you need to make sure of. Strengthening your relationship with God is very important,
Oh,
especially if you want to be with them in the future.
And it's frustrating because, you know, the dating world, especially as a young man, is very difficult. You have a lot of people who claim that they're Christian or were raised Christian but aren't walking a Christian lifestyle.
Right.
And you got that with people even that are in the church, and it's very difficult. And you know, as me being an older man now, it's hard. But the best thing I could tell you is just be patient. Patience is such a hard thing to.
That's the worst thing
to master as a young person.
That's
It
so
really
difficult.
because you think that and Dr. Myke and I, we talked about this a long time ago about the fear of, you know, you'll be like, we would be like 18 years old and we're like, oh, I'm going to grow old and alone. You know, you get that, like everyone says that when they're young.
Yeah.
But the reality is you have so much time, plenty of time for that. And it's better to wait and to allow God to bring the right people into your life than to try to force something and force something that could turn out disastrous.
And that's the one thing I can say is the ones that I've tried to force hurt me the most,
Right.
because I tried to make them somebody else,
Right.
and it was baffling to me the way I got treated, because you just can't fathom why somebody would do that to somebody else. And so the more you try to change them or to do better, and then you look very weak in the relationship, and there's things that you lose your identity, I think.
Because you get stepped on the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then they take your kindness for weakness, and then they look for the bad boys. Just say,
Oh.
Oh, so now we're getting to the truth.
You need to clear that up, Mike.
Oh, no, just say. No, but you know, my experience, like I said, was the ones that were the worst for me are the ones that I wanted the most, and the ones that I've actually gone to God and said, you know what, I'm choosing this person, and I want them in my life. Thank God those prayers were not answered.
Yeah.
Or they were answered to the nope, you know, because man, would I be miserable today.
Yeah.
And that's important. It's not look at, you know, this present time. If you're young in this relationship, you want to look at the future.
The future, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And you guys have to be on the same page and have the same goals, and then you work together to get there. And that's the only
Right.
way to do it. Because you're not going to, I mean, you could get to that same goal, but dragging somebody behind you,
Yeah.
you know, with a 10-foot chain sucks.
Yeah.
But you know, you want to find out what makes them special. And I dated a girl one time that I said, you know, don't you have any dreams or aspirations to do anything in your life? And she just wanted to legit be a bum. And I was like, that's great. If you want to be a bum, I support it. But I was like, but be the best bum you could be. You know what I mean? Like, I'll get behind that and say, yep, she's a bum, but I support her.
Like, what do you mean? Not work or anything?
She wanted
or?
to sit on the couch all day and smoke pot. That was her goal in life.
Oh.
And I was like, well, that's really good for you. I mean, I don't do that. And at the time I was working on my master's degree, and I'm like, you and I are nowhere near each other as far as, you know, goals in life.
Yeah.
And,
But Jacob, you know, one thing I could say is that, you know, because I think a lot of times, you know, and I would say probably everyone here sitting at the table has been guilty of this, is taking things to the Lord and asking him to bless it, or asking him to put his blessing on it. And I just want to say that if something's meant to be and it's in the will of according to God, then God will bless that.
And that's what you want to ask for, his will in
Yeah.
that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to
Yeah.
force something, and don't come with the attitude to God like, bless this for me.
Yeah.
Because that's when and like I said, that most of us are guilty of that, because we get caught up in our own situations sometimes, and our own paths, and we want something, but it might not be in God's plan for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I agree with everything that Mike was saying about praying for the wrong people,
Yeah.
for something to work out, and thanking God now that
It didn't work
didn't
out.
come
It
true,
didn't.
or the prayers weren't answered. And it's actually crazy now I'm thinking about it, because I remember talking to my current girlfriend now, and we were both in the same position, like where we finally were comfortable with ourselves, trying to work on ourselves, and just if something comes to us, we're not gonna have high hopes or anything. And a week before we met, her best friend's boyfriend is actually a pastor, and he was like, you know what, Autumn, I would just like to pray for you. And they were like, okay, and they prayed that she would find a good guy that would put the same amount of effort in
That she did. Mm-hmm.
that she does,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And
And that would
instead
also
of
have
that-
like a relationship with God. And then a
Yeah.
week goes by, and we go out on our first date, or like we start talking, within a week, and right when me and her weren't expecting anything and not pushing for anything and just comfortable with ourselves, and it just happened when I didn't look for it, I guess. So I think
Yeah.
that's God.
That
bringing
is-
Oh, that's
you the right
awesome.
person.
That's an amazing story.
It really is. And now your uncle's gonna say something
Yeah.
smart.
So before God answered your prayer, then he put you in her life. So
What was that?
I
Oh
was saying,
gosh.
before they answered that prayer, then he put you in her life as a stand-in.
Just so everybody knows that's listening.
Just kidding.
Just so everybody knows out there that's listening to this show, they
Yeah.
are
They're
related.
related. Yeah,
They're so
Yeah.
they're busting on each other. So
Yeah. So
that's the Jacob. That's a beautiful story.
no, that
It
is
really
awesome,
is.
and that
Yeah.
that speaks to a lot of putting God at the center of it,
Mm-hmm.
and him bringing into your path who you
Right.
need at that time, and that's
Right.
awesome, man. I forget what I was
It
going to
is.
say.
I'm so
after
happy you came on the show.
that. Yeah, me too. That's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And what was I going to say about his? I got caught off with the trying to step. But anyway, no, it's super important that you do that, and it's also important that you realize that you're in a spot in your life right now where things they might be confusing. You're at the beginning of your journey, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're so young, and you've got a great girlfriend right now. But it's important that you guys stay grounded and keep God at the center of it.
Yeah, you're already off to a really good start
Yeah.
by walking with God and making sure that God's with you on every step you make. Because when you read the Old Testament, you read the stories about David. I mean, David was always consulting with God. Should I do this? Will you bless me if I do this? And he made his decisions based on God's will.
Yeah.
Obviously,
most
not
of
when
them.
he sinned,
Yeah.
but
There
yeah.
was that one.
Except for that adultery part.
Right.
Yeah.
But don't feel foolish, and don't feel pressured by anybody. If you want to step back and pray about something and seek God's will, seek His advice,
His guidance.
His
yeah.
guidance.
Because
yeah.
marriage is
That's a whole other animal, right? I can't speak on that. I'm not married. I never was married, so I there's only so much I could tell you. That's just like, I could tell you if I'm blind what red is. Can't do it. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, I mean,
well, it's just something to consider very carefully, like who you
marriage.
So,
Yeah. Well, and at the right time, you'll know that it's the right time, and if that's the right person. But it's a very serious commitment also, and I'm sure Leah can speak on that for sure.
I can. I'm not going to right now.
Oh yeah,
but I
you don't
can.
have to. I'm just saying.
We're gonna need another hour for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's great that you guys. So did you guys meet on? Do you want to talk about that? Did you meet online? Did we?
I think
he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
okay.
met on
Oh yeah,
Bumble.
you said that. Yeah,
Bumble.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
but we were on for the same reasons,
Right.
Yep.
and
Right.
we actually deleted because we were talking about it later on. I forget. I think it was either after the first or second date. We both deleted the app.
Yeah, you know,
Because we-
that brings up another thing because
Yeah.
that used to come up a lot too. Like, hey, are you still on there looking?
Does that mean you
Yeah.
lost your backup files,
Oh, there we
or
go. Backup files.
yeah, all my backup files got yeah.
they give you a warning when you go to cancel your account? Like, are you sure you want to delete all these backups?
Yeah,
Yes, click.
that's crazy. No, that's a good story.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely can. It can work. It can.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know people that have met and married
Yeah,
through online dating, but you just have to be really committed to it. You have to bring the Lord into it
yeah,
if you're looking for
Yeah, we were talking recently as well. We went to church last weekend
yeah.
because I texted her and I was like, hey, I was thinking, and I think it would be good for us to get a closer relationship with God, like together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it'd be good that we went to church more often, like on Sundays and all, whenever we can.
Yeah,
And
That's so great.
she was really surprised because I asked her why she was so surprised, and she was telling me how before in a previous relationship, the same thing with me, because I brought up the same type of thing with other girls that I was with, and they had the same answer as her exes as
Right.
well when she brought up God, and it was basically just like, I don't want to do that, and I don't care to do that. There's
yeah.
no point. And yeah, so it's just different now, I guess.
Well, it sounds
Yeah,
to me
it's
like
really
you're
good.
definitely your relationship is off to a great start. That's good that you both are interested in seeking the Lord, and that's
Yeah.
great that you want to do it together because that's going to help strengthen your bond.
It's so important.
That's
yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've met her, and she's awesome. You know, everything. She's got a great head on her shoulders, I think. And I can't wait to see what happens with you guys. It's exciting. But if you're on any other sites, I won't tell her. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
So what is
bad.
the verdict now? Online dating. What do you guys think? Let's go around the table.
All right, let's start with Leah because we ended with Leah and her bad boys. Go ahead,
Oh
Leah.
gosh.
What do you think?
It can definitely work if you're committed to it. If I feel like if you have a lot of, I don't know, I found it to be really time consuming. I don't know if you have a lot of time, I guess, to kind of weed through.
But if you're lonely and looking for someone, you'll put that time in, I think. Right? You're like that.
I'll tell you right now, I was lazy to fill out the profile. I hated that
too.
part.
Yeah, I hate that part too.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I just feel like maybe that's not the route that, you know what I mean? That, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No, so you think it's a good idea or you don't think it's a good idea?
I think it works for some people.
For some people, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right. So what do you say to the young people out there that are lonely? Say try it, or old people. Doesn't have to be young.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't have to be. Sure, try it, but I don't know. Carefully
careful.
guard your heart. Yeah, and
Don't have too high of an expectation because
right.
there are success stories out there, but they're just like all the millionaire success stories.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen.
One
it can.
One in a million.
So, but it just didn't for. I just personally.
Well, you should have been on badboy.com.
Right.
You're clearly on the wrong site.
very clearly.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm nice, but I want somebody. All right, JB, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts on this are God is in control of everything.
Yeah.
And does online dating work? Is it better to meet someone in person? I'd say it doesn't matter. I would say that no matter what, God is in control. If you're meant to meet someone, you're going to, and if you're not going to.
Yeah.
I think the mistake that people make with online dating sites is the fact that they think that it's kind of like going to a restaurant, where I'm going to go here, I'm going to order what I want, and I'm going to get what I want.
Or
But it's nothing like that because it's always, everything happens to us according to the will of God, and you can't force something no matter how much you try. It's just not going to work, and God won't allow it. So if you want to try online dating, that's fine. Go right ahead. but don't change your values. Don't change your walk with Christ to do so. Carry Christ with you in this venture.
Right.
And-
I also think you need to be like very specific in your profile of what you're looking for. But like you said, Mike, sometimes that doesn't, because I was very specific.
Yeah.
And I still had like atheist, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like,
too.
wow, he
So
clearly
would I,
did
yeah.
not, you know,
I'm like, why are you not saying that? I clearly said Christian in here, and you're this. Oh, I don't believe in that. I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah. So, I mean, some people just don't read the profile.
I think a lot of people think that this is like you're filling this profile out, and you think that some experts behind the scenes trying to match you with the perfect person, and that's not the case. You're just filling out this profile, and millions of people are looking at it. You're not getting matched at all.
Well, like eHarmony claims they do that.
Yeah, and so does, I think, Match, I think, does too. I don't know.
Do they
I know,
send
like,
people to you based on what you?
They what they do is they call it a personality profile, and I know this from watching commercials because I never even joined the site.
Right.
It's one of the paid sites, but you fill out this, I guess, really like 10-mile long questionnaire about yourself.
I hate that.
It will actually not only it pairs you based on your personality traits and like everything you answer according to that. And then so it
it does.
and so
In theory,
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, all right.
Does it work? Maybe.
Yeah.
I
Does
mean,
it
there's
work?
been success stories
Yeah.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jacob's one. He's got a success story, right, Jacob?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's your final thoughts on it, Jake? What do you say?
I think my final thoughts are about a combo of what you guys just said. I think part of it's God's will,
Yeah.
and I think if you're meant to find the right one, it might happen on Bumble. It might happen in real life.
Yeah.
You never
Yeah.
know,
And I think it's important that people stay open-minded to that.
yeah.
Like you could find someone online, but you might find someone in person too.
Or you might find somebody very damaging to you.
It's also very humbling sometimes as well, especially if you're a shorter guy as well. A lot of girls nowadays, no matter how short they are just going for like 6 foot and above.
Yeah. Well, it's
No
just,
All that rules me out.
Really?
all you have to do is on your profile, just
Sure.
say you're 6'1".
So-
That's all.
I mean, online dating is humbling.
Yeah.
Yes, it's time consuming, but it's also up to God at the end of the day. Whatever.
Yeah. Good point.
You're
If
so
you
right.
happen to find the right one on online dating, then you find the right one. If you happen to not find anyone, then you don't find anyone. You know?
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Don't have expectations.
Yeah. That's a good point. And
My
there's
take on
and he's one of the success stories. So, listen to what he says. So, me personally, I've met great people. I've met terrible people. I've met people that clicked instantly and everything was right and the timing's off.
Were you chasing after the bad girls?
I didn't go to badgirl.com.
I got one in for you, Leah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
After you getting prodded all
Thank
throughout
you.
the show.
I mean, it's you never know what you're gonna meet on there. You don't know who these
Yeah.
people are and what
But
they
again,
say.
you can say the same for in-person real life.
It's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the
Looks wise,
dangers-
no. Right. I mean, because in person.
Well,
but you have to get to
as
know
far as
somebody.
being deceived, yeah. But as far as like knowing someone is inner thoughts and intentions,
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
that takes-
you weed through the same thing in the physical world. So like again, I think it just comes down to I can't say I'm not going to say one way or the other over either. I just think that all dating should be approached the same, whether
Cautious.
it's in person or online. Don't think that just because you have access to an online catalog that you're going to find someone if it's not in God's will.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's just the way it is.
Even if you're looking for that.
I mean,
Even
you
if
can
you're
make
looking-
it happen. You can make it happen.
Yeah. If you're looking
But
for
it
that
won't be.
bad boy. And
Stop.
Oh, sorry. All right. All right. Well, Jacob, thank you for joining us. And from Leah and JB, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Pillars of Heaven.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Jacob, thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Wait, you have to have me
thank
because
you. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you're a really wise.
you
Yeah.
are.
You're a kid to me.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
sorry.
very wise for your age.
Well, you're really.
Stay with the Lord. Yeah, stay in your walk.
Yes.
All right, and we'll have you on again for sure because we're gonna see how this relationship goes, And if you screw it
Awesome,
up,
yeah.
we'll be on here to
Lay it all out there.
lay it all out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, until next week, thank you for joining us, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.